I put this presentation together with my poorly 2-year-old son on my lap, so I can't promise that Mr. Tumble might not pop out any time, but that, we were getting a bit hysterical. Anyway, the title of my presentation is No Tea and Sympathy here, and anyone who knows me will know that I've said this 100 times about the voluntary sector or the third sector. We no longer kind of have people walk through the door and we go there, and everything will be all right in the morning. That isn't to say we won't put the kettle on and get the biscuits out when somebody needs it, but that's not who we are. So what I'm going to be doing is talking about the third sector today. I guess before we go on, I kind of want to tell you about Mind in Cambridgeshire, and for those of you who know us, I'm sorry, but those of you who don't, this is who we are. So we are contracted to provide lots of things through the local authority and through the clinical commissioning groups. So we have wellbeing services, we also provide psychological therapy, we provide counselling, we provide home and community support to people who are very poorly living at home. We host the Service User Network on behalf of the local authority and clinical commissioning group commissioners. We also have the Stop Suicide campaign, but we deliver that in partnership with Lifecraft and Peterborough and Fenland Mind. We also run mental health campaigns for adults and young people. We host the Network for the Crisis Concordat. See, I told you, something might happen. We are also just being commissioned by the local authority to deliver a project called Resilient Together, which touches largely on the things that Charlotte raised in her presentation about communities, building strength and really kind of making networks and relationships. We are one of the 9 sites in the UK delivering resilience programmes to our blue light services, so our frontline police, paramedics, air ambulance and so on. We provide training to all and sundry. The clinical school is one of our clients. We do some technology development. We're in the middle of looking at an app and other technology for suicide prevention. We have about 50 staff, but in fact I did a count yesterday and we now have 60. So when I arrived we had 4 or 5, so we've come quite a long way. We have about 50 volunteers, and we also have 5 formal delivery partnerships with other third sector organisations and statutory partners. So, okay, you've probably heard this today, so I'm not going to go on. But obviously, Restraint and Mind kind of goes back a long way. I'm a real Mind person. I've worked for Mind on and off for about 24 years. And I remember, certainly in the early days of my career, we had kind of service users or individuals, activists who were actively getting themselves admitted into hospital wards to uncover all sorts of things about restraint and about ways of managing people in hospitals. So Mind has a kind of key role in highlighting issues around all sorts of practices that might be challenging. And of course the Mind report in 2012 highlighted all sorts of things about what was going on and the kind of diversity across the piece around using restraint. So, Charities Today, we are now delivering services that used to be delivered by statutory partners. We also have to have charity governance, clinical governance, company law, information governance. We also are monitored through our contracts. Some of us are CQC inspected, we're not, but some of us are. I know Richmond Fellowship are, for instance. We are known to represent service users, but as the years have gone on, that's really been much more problematic. When you're contracted to deliver services, you can't all of a sudden hold the moral high ground about we know what service users want and need. There's some of that, but it's a bit tricky nowadays. We are less bureaucratic, it's true, but only up to a point. We can't just kind of renegade and do whatever we like. It's not the way it works. My staff are not do-gooding volunteers. They don't sit there and rub people's shoulders, although I do get the odd massage, but that's not what they do. My staff are people with qualifications and the experience for the posts, and I think Lifecraft would say the same, Richmond Fellowship would say the same. We are in a period of heightened media scrutiny, and it was cool years ago to be a chief executive of a charity. Since Camilla Batterman-Gailey It is less cool. And so I kind of know a little bit more how you feel, Aidan, nowadays than I probably did a year ago. It's not as fun, I have to say. So, look, the third sector and promise. We really connect with the values. I am a real promise advocate. If I get to speak about it, I'll go on. I was really touched when I met Manan and Sarah about it. I love the fact that patients on a ward are being woken up with tea in the morning. That's just common decency, and it makes such a difference. We, of course, want to stop the use of restraint, and we know that, certainly from Manan's perspective, it can stop from the community onwards. The organisational model offers opportunity for lots of co-production, which is essentially what promise is. We understand that small steps have big impact. We also understand that relationships, so our relationship with our statutory partners is kind of critical, because ultimately restraint can only be prevented when we're really working together. That it's creative. Some of the stories that Sarah and Manan have shared with me are quite powerful in terms of making a difference. It's working from a strengths point of view, and ultimately it focuses on communication with the patient, the service user, the client, the person. What more could we ask for? But what really are the obstacles to making that happen? Well, organisational boundaries. We do that, you do this. Culture. People still don't know about kind of what third sector charity organisations do. So whilst Aidan and I might agree, we've got to share information, we've got to work together, Aidan and I are not seeing clients. So that doesn't really work if the people on the ground aren't saying the same thing. Risk thresholds. Whilst we work with clients who are, at the other end of the spectrum, ultimately we don't have powers to put people in places of safety. So we really need to be working with people that can help make people safe. People, you can just get the wrong person on the phone and things can go very badly wrong. And it feels like, sometimes we just need some customer service training. No disrespect, but I just spoke to a GP receptionist this morning and I came away and I wanted to put my head in the bin. So, we really need to get a grip of how we talk to each other. And service pressures. So when we're under pressure, we kind of don't want to work together. We kind of like, no, it's too much. We've got to get over that too, because actually the point about the recovery coaches, it's about throughput. So working together can alleviate those service pressures. That's what we're working towards. So what do we need to do? I don't think, preaching to the converted, we've said that so many times today. We need to kind of, work together for promise. We need to kind of work on co-production. We need to share ideas. We need to do shared training. We need to listen to each other. So it's not just, us expecting CPFT to listen to us as third sector, but actually we need to listen to you guys too. We need to interrogate our mistakes because we are all making them all of the time. That's not to say it's okay, but it's human nature. But let's interrogate them, create a culture of inquiry and avoid blame. Create a culture of professional respect. So we respect you, please respect us. And be interested in the services that we deliver. So, when Mind in Cambridgeshire come and visit your team, it's really difficult when we see rolling of eyes. So if we can think about not doing that. So, since I've had children, I'm a fan of Dr. Seuss, and I always try and end on a Dr. Seuss quote. It's not the same one, all right, just before you say. So, look, we have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the one who will decide where to go. So really, I think that kind of says a lot about promise, and our plea to you from a third sector perspective is to kind of realise that we're on the same team.